So it's the first time I'm doing this kind of talk, so I want it to be like an open conversation because I've never really explained this to a non-dancing crowd. So I'm gonna try to do my best to kind of pass whatever it is that I'm talking about, and feel free to interrupt me and have any questions and argue with me about it, because it's the only way that I'll probably understand whether you're getting it or not, and I'm getting through it and explaining what I do. So, a little bit about myself. I was a programmer for most of my life. When I got into the military, there was a dance club next to the base, and I started dancing. It's the first time that I had dancing. Before that, I did some taekwondo and a lot of other things. And I find learning to dance and dancing like very exciting, but also very different than everything that I did before. But maybe for some people it will be completely different. It's a different kind of challenge for me. So for me, and I think for a lot of dancers, maybe, but I'm speaking certainly for myself, dancing is a quest for self-awareness. Okay, it's not just about other people, about making things look beautiful, building and entertaining the crowd. A lot of dancers actually don't care about entertaining the crowd. A lot of, like an artist, he makes a statue, he doesn't make it for people to love it. He makes it because he wants to do it this way. He just hopes that people like what he's doing because they enjoy his work, but he doesn't want to do it the way that he knows they will like it, but rather the way that would challenge him.
He doesn't want to kiss the rest, he wants them to like his.
Exactly. So, thank you. My instant translator. Perfect. Keep at it. So this is kind of, for me, I want to talk about is dancing and like self-awareness and all that. So, let me explain to you a little bit about the constructs of dance. And like, I had this talk on the bus over here, and I tried to explain like, why is a dance called ballet and why is it not hip-hop, and what makes the difference between ballet and hip-hop. Because you're moving your hand, and this same movement can be in hip-hop and the same movement can be in ballet. But what would make it a difference? So there are certain constructs, and the difference in different dances, they kind of appear differently and they act differently. So the first thing is the beat. There's a certain count or beat to every dance. And there's a basis count, and there's, on top of it, you can build sub counts and upper counts. You can. It's very similar to music in that sense. But dancing is more like jazz because you improvise all the time. And you improvise, and dancing is not about learning how to build choreographies. Initially it's about being able to improvise. Then whatever you improvise, you can then later on build the choreography based on your improvisations and into the dance.
Do they teach you in a way that prepares you for improvising? You know what I mean? Because sometimes I went to dancing lessons a few times. In the end, I just stuck with fighting. Yeah, that's the closest I get to dancing.
I'll explain it like this. When you learn a new language, let's say you learn Hebrew for the first time, you learn the letters. That's your basics. Then you learn the words, and then with the words and the letters, you can make any sentence you want to express any idea that nobody ever thought of. First, you can create an article that contains thoughts that nobody ever had before. And that's your improvisation. But you're still within that construct. If you would write it in English, it would be English. If you write it in Hebrew, it would be Hebrew. This is the construct. So the construct is that thing that actually limits you, but lets you build on top. So, but even like in Hebrew, when you, or like in any language, I could say, I can build a new word that sounds like an existing word, so I can break and bend the rules a little bit, and it would still kind of make sense. Like, I don't know. I don't have an example, but...
I know what you mean. You mean you can invent a word that actually sounds like an existing word, though you know it doesn't exist.
Yes, and it could invoke a feeling or something, and I could invent a new word for
but
something.
Your partner won't know how to use it if you don't teach it.
That's right. But...
There's
a lot of culture.
I see.
There's a lot of culture. There's a lot of culture into dance as well. So maybe I forgot that in the presentation, but usually it's not counted like, but there's also a lot of culture in dance. So dancing salsa in Havana in Cuba is different than you dance salsa in Santiago de Cuba. So different places, same country even, same dance.
Can they dance together?
It's all the same. Yes, they can, but they'll dance better if Santiago and Santiago than Havana and Havana, and same like if you dance salsa in Tel Aviv, you dance salsa with a partner dancer in Tel Aviv, you'll do probably better than you would do in Milan.
Hybrids don't work.
They work, but
not as well as
because if you're trained enough, you can learn the differences and you adapt very fast. You can adapt within, depends how good you are, you can adapt within seconds, minutes, hours, you know.
Don't allow me to sidetrack.
Anyway, so the beat is the first thing, and I'll explain. I'll give you an example. So my first example would be salsa versus lambada. Okay, both dances are 8 count. So salsa is 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, and lambada is 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. sounds very much the same, but the basic rhythm for salsa music is this is called the clave. It's the metronome that players play on, and for lambada it's okay, different. So
I prefer lambada.
Lambada is more.
Yes.
Show us.
The clap?
Yeah.
I think I can do it.
Do it.
Yeah, very similar. So basically, lambada is a more simple rhythm, right? Because you have the 8 count is symmetrical. You have every 4 count is symmetrical. This fits a lot of different types of music to have both 4 counts symmetrical, and you can then apply it on top of hip hop or other songs. You can use this pattern. With salsa, you can imagine it, but if in reality it only fits salsa songs. Okay, so this kind of makes a difference, and this kind of thing gives it a feel because you only have dancers dancing to one type of music, and the others are dancing to almost any kind of music. So you just have to have this basic rhythm. But they both have an 8 count, and they both count differently, but they count it differently. So the next thing is that determines what a dance would look like is the steps. So the basic step for salsa, I mean there are many basic steps for every dance. For ballet it's plié, relevé, whatever it is. First step, second step, third step, fifth step, whatever. All of these make up what ballet is. So same for salsa. There are many. Let's talk about walking in a straight line, like back and forth. So we're saying the same, and we're moving 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Now you may not notice it, but what I'm doing is same thing as when I'm walking. What I'm doing is this is my center of mass, right? This is the most mass that amounts in my body. When I move, when I walk very naturally. My center of mass always leads the movement. This is an unnatural walk. Leg.
It's a silly walk.
Leg, right? This is the natural walk. The natural walk is you basically fall on your feet because your mass is moving first. So when you move your body, if you think about it, you become more aware. You'll understand that when you're pushing off the floor, you're basically pushing your body forward, and then the legs come to support it. And you move like this. And this gives it a very natural feel. It doesn't look weird. When you look at me dancing salsa, what you're going to see is that wherever which direction I'm moving, the center of mass is always leading the movement. And what a lot of beginners would do when you explain the step. So it's 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. And beginners would do this probably. This is a very, very common mistake. And you see a lot of people that haven't mastered natural, like walking, and if I see somebody doing this, I know they're just finished beginner lesson. They're doing the exact same beat, but they're moving their body different. So the step is not just where you put your feet at, but it's also where your body is. Okay? And that's the first thing.
So why don't they say that when they teach?
because not all the teachers are actually that good and
Maybe
aware
they
of what they're
don't
teaching.
okay.
A lot of them, the more professional ones, the more analytic ones, usually explain that a step is a change in body shift, or like where your body is. So they explain, like, instead of explaining through center of mass, sometimes they explain that when you move your leg, you actually have to be able to lift your other leg. Okay, so that means that you've shifted your weight to that leg. So the first explanation is, where are my legs at? If my weight is shifted on my right, then I can do this immediately. If I'm on my right and somebody tells me to lift my right, I have to do this, right? It's just logic. So this is kind of my first test. When I want to explain to people what weight shifting is, I let them move from side to side. Anyway, but that's not the point. It's not just the weight shift, because I can be on one leg but still not have my body lead the movement, which is actually more important than where your weight is. So, going back to those steps, in Lambada, the steps are different. You have 2 steps on the spot, or a little bit forward, but more or less on the spot. Then you have 1 step where the leg is leading the movement and you step back, even though the count is the same. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you always move your feet first when you're dancing. So it kind of looks a bit weird. It doesn't look like natural walking anymore, but it gives this kind of stretchy feeling for the dance. So you can do this, and it feels like I'm stretching the move. Because I'm not moving, the moving stretch. So it gives it a completely different feel. And if you look at somebody dancing and you see this, and you say, oh, this is salsa. And if you see them doing this, then you say it's lambada. So those are the things that kind of make up the dance. And if you have to be aware of it. The next construct is the frame. Different dances use it differently. For ballet, it's more about the posture of how you hold your body. So holding your frame usually means shoulders down, basics of frame, shoulders down, elbows never go beyond your body. So you can go forward, your hand can go here, but it can't go here. It can do this long movement. But when it's here, your elbows can up. So you don't dance like this, and you can dance like this. This is natural, not natural. So this is like the frame. And this whole area is what constitutes the frame. So I need a volunteer.
He's pointing at you. He's pointing
Come,
at you.
I have no problem to volunteer, but I think you've been chosen.
Seriously,
Yeah.
you have. I just want to make sure you have 2 options. And you're choosing.
Yes,
Just want to make sure that we're gonna do that. Okay.
Okay, so I want to show you what the frame. I'm going to talk about that later.
Okay. When we're alone.
Yes. No, in front of everybody. So just so everybody can see, we're here, and many can, because I must keep my frame, what many can do now is he can push me backwards and control my body through my hand. Because I won't let my hand go here. So he, knowing that, he pushes my hand and my whole body goes back. So if we are 2 dancers and we know that we're keeping each other's frame, if I push, he goes back. If he pushes, I have to go back. Because I have to keep my frame. So I create this basic construct and then we start having a language. Now we can talk. We can do more things. We can say, usually when we talk about frame, like Manny was hugging me earlier, we can say, what?
Do you still need me?
No, it's fine. We can say,
Do you need a hug though?
what? You know what? Give me I'll let you challenge me. Okay?
What you need to do now.
So, no. Not that I'll give you the challenge and then you'll try and you'll play with me.
Okay.
Okay? So we're gonna do the frame game. Okay?
Okay.
Don't frame me.
Okay.
I know you can hack me and frame me, but don't do that. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna maintain this, more or less, this space between us. Okay? And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and mimic my torso with Manny's torso. So try moving. No, like do it slowly and
Yeah.
reasonably. So move your torso. You can.
I don't know what
Oh,
to do.
you're mirroring.
Guys,
Yeah.
I'm so embarrassed. It's
Oh,
hard
that's
to
much
explain.
harder.
So try walking also.
Okay.
I can do it this way.
Are you having fun?
When you turn
It's a video game.
when you turn like this,
Yeah.
then I lose the connection. I lose, I'm not seeing you anymore, then I'm free, I can turn and come back and look for that connection again.
Oh, no, I get
This is so much like fighting, do you know that?
I don't have no idea.
It's
So
very
try it, move
similar.
backwards
How
and
is
forward,
he
like
trying?
here,
it.
forward and backwards.
You're keeping distance, maintaining distance, yeah?
Okay, we had enough fun.
Thank you, thank you.
What a lovely volunteer.
And that's how professional
When-
dancing is.
So when you're using your frame, now you can create a dance. You have the steps. Before you even touch for the first time, you have your steps. When I go dancing, we have the music. Okay, I see you. Let's start dancing. I can go in, start the steps, and then we start touching. Okay, even before we start touching, we first have the frame. So, for many dances, this frame can be more relaxed. Some is more constrained, like tango or vals, like this.
What if you want to hit on someone?
The frame is everything in tango. Okay?
Mm.
Also in lambada, it's very, very strong how you use it. In salsa, it's completely loose. Why is it loose? Because the lady has to keep frame feeling, and the guy doesn't have to do anything. So he doesn't have to keep the frame, but he can use the lady's frame. So he pushes her, she goes back. If he pulls her, she keeps the frame, she comes forward. If he moves her from side to side, like this, she has to keep that frame. So that whole thing of her being in this frame gives the guy more control, while he has more freedom with his body movements. But it makes it more difficult to understand the moves, therefore you can do less complicated stuff using the frame. So you have to use other kinds of techniques to dance or talk or relay your message. Okay. Shoes, clothes, and dance floor. So shoes determine a lot. Like if you have pointing shoes, if you have heels, some dances, the dancers usually wear heels. That changes your friction with the dance floor. That means more faster turns for ladies, yeah,
I have a question.
of course.
Can the same style of dance have different shoes within the same dance?
Yes,
For example, in fighting, boxers have shoes, wrestlers have shoes specifically for what they do, but you won't see different styles of shoes that much, you know what I mean?
you can have different styles of shoes. I guess that in dancing is really art. So people always try to break the rules. They always try to change something, but you can't change everything at once because then it's not ballet, it's hip hop, it's something else. You can break some of the rules and keep that kind of feeling that the dance is created. The more you know about the dance, the more rules you try and break and maintain the feeling of the original.
So if you're very good, that's when you experiment. Yeah?
You can experiment at any point in time.
But you'll suck.
The better you are, the better you'll do it without ruining the feeling people get when they watch you. Kind of like, or the feeling your partner gets when she dances with you. And so the dance floor matters a lot. Like certain dances, like ballroom, they only dance on the parquet floor. This matters on how slippery the floor is, you know, how the different types of moves. For instance, some moves require a lot of stability. When you dance hip hop, you usually dance not necessarily on parquet floor. You can dance, you know, like on the sidewalk and things like that. And that's the roots of the dance. So a lot of moves require a lot of friction with the floor, a lot of very connected, you know. Same with like Cuban salsa versus New York salsa. In New York salsa, they walk on the dance floor, everything is more smooth. Ladies have very little friction with the floor. They move around a lot. Cuban salsa, more grounded, more African rooted dancing. A lot of African movements. Guys usually bend over when they're dancing, which doesn't necessarily look good, but it kind of gives them that African feel, you know? So that's kind of that. And the music, of course, the music changes a lot. So if you have, if you use a certain type of music that's very, very fast, or very slow. There are two types of lambada dances that exist. There's the variants or styles. There's lamba zouk and zouk. Zouk people like to dance on slow music. Lamba zouk people like to dance on fast music. This really determines how the song is played because, like I said, you have this stretchy moment, but if you had to do it fast, you don't have a lot of time to do a lot of improv. You have to make sure that the feeling is kept and a lot of other things, that you don't hurt your partner, you don't have a lot of time to think. But when you slow things down, you can add a lot of other things into the dance that you have more time to do, right? So that kind of determines what character, and of course, the people, the culture, whatever it is. So, now I want to move on to that self-awareness. After we've built the construct and we understood what is dance, what's really important about dancing. Beyond what you see, So the first, when you, there are two, basically, you can divide dances into solo dances, where you dance on your own. You can do partner dancing, and you can do partner dancing into two categories. Partner dancing choreography, and partner dancing social. What we call social dancing, basically you go out, you meet a partner, or whatever. And there's an art to being a good performer, which is not directly linked to the art of being a social dancer. So I'm more of a social dancer than a performer. I prefer more to dance with other people, and I've noticed a lot of things over the years. So what happens when you go out and you ask your partner to dance? Will you dance with me?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. So the first thing that happens is you see that person. There's a lot of judging going on, no matter who you are. When the first time you meet someone on the dance floor, they look at you, the way you just walk. Do you look like a professional? How do your shoes look? What kind of vibe are you giving? Are you confident about your dance? And so on and so on. Obviously, everybody would prefer to dance with a really good dancer because they can do more. They're
Not
more
the
sensitive.
guys.
What?
I personally experienced this, that you can be a hot girl that knows nothing and maybe doesn't even have any coordination. The best guys will just love to tutor you. But as a guy, like I did this about 20 years ago maybe, and I remember that getting a girl to dance with you when you're a beginner, socially I mean, it's not so easy.
It really, really depends on the dance. I'll explain. When you are dancing in, like, let's say salsa. Salsa is a very macho dance. The male leader is like leading 99% of the time. That means that the dance is highly determined by the lady's skills, but even if the lady is really, really skilled, like amazingly skilled, the guy knows nothing, there's nothing you can do in the dance.
Oh, so you said the reason is technical.
Yes.
Oh, so I won't take it personally.
No. Don't take it genderly.
Okay.
Okay? It really isn't gender-based. And you can dance, you can be the hottest guy in the party. You still won't get a lot of dances because the dance would look like this.
No, I wasn't.
And you can imagine a lady that's used to doing like this and dancing and doing this, I don't know, whatever it is that she's doing, and then she has to do an entire dance like this.
Yeah.
But when the guy is leading, he can improvise, he can do a lot of things that make up for...
What she doesn't know.
But that's in salsa.
And it's fun for her.
But that's in salsa. If you dance West Coast, which is a 50% dance, it really, really matters that both of the dancers know, so it doesn't matter. The girl is hot, the guy is hot, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But of course, if you're hot and you know how to dance,
Yeah.
it makes a difference. If you dress well, if you
But
dress
you gotta
really crappy,
practice, right?
all these things matter.
You gotta practice, right?
Yes?
So how am I gonna practice if I'm not experienced? It's just like getting a job, you know? You gotta get the
You
opportunity.
take lessons.
Yeah.
When-
I just dance freestyle. That's all I can.
Yeah, that's fine too. Everybody enjoys dance differently. For me, it's about learning
Yeah.
more and more and more. So, but the first thing is you see that person. The second thing is as you come by and you get more and more close and things get a little bit more intimate, is smell. Okay? the first thing you notice about a person is how they smell, right? Even if you're doing extreme programming, and you're programming with the guy next to you, if you just had a huge cup of coffee, that you smell that, right?
Self-awareness, you said.
Yes. So, but with dancing, it's different. Like if somebody is coding next to you, you can scooch over a little bit to the left. When you're dancing with somebody, you're connected for 4 minutes. If they don't smell good, or if they dance well, it's like amazing. Wow, it's so much fun. I'm smelling all the time, and it's a great smell. So it goes both ways, and it really, really affects the mood of the dancers, and it's something a lot of people aren't aware of. The second thing is touch. Everybody likes to be touched differently. The more aware you are, the more sensitive, the more you dance more, the more sensitive you become to touch. And the more sensitive you become to touch, the better you get at touching other people while dancing. Because a lot of dancers, they have so many things to worry about. Oh, I showered today, and I have to smile now, and then now I have to move the steps, and the rhythm, oh no, it's too fast, I'm moving away, and then they start squashing the lady's hand, or the other way around, the ladies hold the guys because they're afraid to fall, and then you end up with like blue marks, and you finish the dance after 4 minutes, it's like winged. So it's really, really important. And it's really hard. It's really, really hard to be thinking about all these things at once. So, a little bit more about touching. So, yes, okay. A little bit more about touching. So you can touch people in very different ways. Not taking it. Another victim here. I'm touching. Yeah, come. So when we touch each other, right? It's like when you do a handshake, right? Some people will do a handshake like this with their hand. Handshake, right? You can touch very differently. When you touch, you can do this. This is not very comfortable for that person, right? And the other way around. Not very comfortable. Actually, he's moving his body so he doesn't get hurt. Okay. And when we dance, we have when we hold somebody, we have our fingers. We can do this. And the worst is this, really burrowing into the hand. And these things actually happen a lot while dancing. And when you're dancing, usually what we do is you put your hand like this into a little bit of a curve. It's very hard. And then what we do is this. And we rely on our muscles to keep these hands together. So we don't actually hold each other, but we actually feel this kind of light tension. And this really changes. Like some ladies sweat a lot. Then it becomes really slippery. And it's really hard, so you have to keep your hands more in like a hook position. Some ladies are very, very dry. Same effect. It also slides. Some ladies have a little bit of sweat, or guys have a little bit of sweat, doesn't matter. And then, there's water. We have a little bit of water between us. Then it becomes much, much easier to hold the hand. There's a little bit of stickiness. Then it needs less effort to actually hold the hand. So all these things are like, you don't even think about them, but they really, really matter a lot. Because it makes, how much does your brain need to work to keep this touch? How much does it need? How much do I need to hold you and make sure that your body is moving downward or sideways or whatever? So I want you to move down, or I want you to move down this way. Whichever way I want you to move, how do I do it? How much power do I apply? How much strength do I do? How do I control your arms for your leg? So if I want to control somebody to move, I can do it from here. He could pivot. If I choose 2 points, he'll move the direction that I'm taking him. I can apply the power from my hands.
Leverage.
And I can apply, and I keep my hands in one position, and I can apply the power by using the weight of my body, which usually gives it a more natural feel, because there's more immediate power without having it. When you apply your muscles, then like you can, when you hold this, usually this happens, this kind of, and so if you keep it the same and you move your body, it becomes more smooth. So there's a lot of different things. Choose from. So, thank you. Also, people have different surfaces on their hands. Some people's hands are more rugged, some are more smooth, and so on. That really changes how things are. So, connection. Now this is exercise I want all of you to do together, so you have to go into pairs and somebody will be with me. So you be together and you be together and you're together and you'll be with me. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna feel what tension, compression, these are like obvious terms, but very, very important and very cool. And then we're gonna do an exercise about reciprocation. So, grab each other's hand, like this, and hello. Great. Now hold your hands out like this. High five. Okay. Now keep your hands. And what we're going to do now is we're going to maintain our position. Okay, and we're going to compress each other. So we lean in and feel that tension rising between your hands. And then go back and relax that tension. This is what we call compression in dance. Forward and back. But it has to be, make sure when you're doing it to be reciprocal. So always do it together and always try that you both more or less feel, if you both lean in, do it together. If you lean out, move out.
Like in sync, huh?
Yes, try to be in sync. Also, don't let your hands be here, okay? Because otherwise it will happen something like this. Okay? So, just keep them like 90 degrees, elbow and back. Okay. The next thing we're working on is tension. Okay? Tension is the opposite of compression. We hold each other's hands. So one do this and the other one like this. One like this and one like this. Yes. Okay. So first of all, in this position, let's do compression again. Compression in this position. Okay? Now, let's do tension. It's the other way. As you feel the tension. And go back. Again, tension. And go back. Okay. Now we're going to try it just with one hand. We're going to hold our hands like this. Don't use this. Just keep it a kind of a, make your hand into a frame and make it like this. And keep it steady, okay? Now we're going to use this and we're going to compress. So we're going to compress and then we're going to stretch. Compress and stretch. Okay, now we're going to, so now you know what tension, compression is. Now what I want to do is I want to talk to you about reciprocation. When we dance, when you touch somebody, you want it to be like this. If I touch you lightly, I want you to touch me lightly, right? If I touch you strongly, I want you to touch me strongly. So I want you to do the same thing. How are we going to test it? So one of you in the couple has to be the tester, okay? And you're going to be the leader, okay? So what that means is, so you be the leader, you be the leader, you be the leader, okay? And then we're going to change. So what's going to happen is we're going to put our hand here and we're going to imagine there's a line that's going to be on top of our thumbs or something that we can notice. And then what we're going to have to do is we're going to do the following thing. I'm going to pull, okay, creating tension. And I'm going to use just my hand, not my body, initially. And the followers, the purpose is that this doesn't move, okay? So put my hand here and this can move. So if I do this, see, it moves. Wrong. So I'm going to pull and I'm going to release. And it has to keep it the same. I'm going to do it. So let's do it together. Put your hand on top. Make sure he doesn't move. So release. And create tension. Release. Same with compression. Compress, compress, compress. Release.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Okay. Do it with me for a sec. I'll explain. Be the follower.
Yeah.
No. You have to keep your hand in the same spot.
I get it.
Okay?
So
Now I'm going to release. See your hand moved? See that your hand moved relative to the line? I'm going to release.
And I don't
Don't ignore your body.
Okay.
Just the hand. Release. Stays the same. I'm going to create this tension and release. See it moved.
Oh, you moved my hand.
No. I just released. Again. Release. Now I'm going to compress. compress. No, you have to compress back. Compress, compress, compress. And I'm gonna release. See it moved?
Yeah.
So you try and work on that for a second.
Okay, I get it now.
So now you be the lead.
Sensitive.
And challenge.
The same thing, I think. You want to try again?
Okay.
Then it takes me time.
Nice.
No.
Nice.
That's good.
I got better.
Now you lead.
Okay.
זה לגמרי לקוחות.
No, it's worse than that.
No, it's all use your body when he pulls you.
Very good, man. That was really...
לא, אבל אסור לך לדחוף.
זה לא חייב לי,
אז רק שלכם. עושה איתי?
Different bodies.
זה לא כוחות, כאילו.
לא, זה נופל בזה.
Not as strong. You know what I mean?
It's like playing with dinosaurs. I can't hold his hands, so big.
So this is what when you dance. So thank you for participating.
Yeah, I think I'm very myself.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yay! Did we graduate?
Yes,
Yay!
you became better. Now you understand. When you touch somebody, you wanna always be reciprocal when you touch them. When you dance with somebody, you wanna get this feeling. I'm not done.
Yeah, I have 7:30 and
Go,
I have to have
go.
with
Thank you Mary, for the demos.
it was very hard, I must admit.
So that's reciprocation. And then the next thing about connection is that feeling when you pass to your partner, whether your partner can come into the dance and he can come with a completely different.
I'm going to cooking.
Go ahead.
Oh, I need to help Jackie cook. Okay, well.
I'm gonna come hungry. I promise. Okay. So when you want to maintain whatever feeling that you have with your partner can come into dance and like you go on a dance floor and you meet that person for the first time or even you know that person, but you don't know him that day. So you don't know whether he's tired, whether he's super excited about something, maybe he had a great day, maybe he had a bad day. You start dancing, obviously people are polite, so they smile at you. Then you start dancing, and you want to move fast because there's a fast song, but that person doesn't really want to do it. So you have to be reciprocal about that feeling as well. So it comes both ways, and you try to meet somewhere in the middle. And that's also something that when you connect to somebody, in general, but in dance it's really more apparent because you're stuck together for 4 minutes.
Oh no, 4 minutes.
No,
That relationship.
You're stuck together. You're
No,
not
I get
just
it, I
next
get
to each other. You're not working together. Now you both came to somewhere to have fun, but you're now connected, and now you have to. You don't want to just endure the dance.
You need to
You wanna
make
have
the
fun.
best of it though, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Well, what you can do is, if that person wants to dance slow and you want to dance fast, you can meet them slow and get them excited while you're dancing, and by the end of the dance, maybe you'll dance faster.
I'm already excited, you got me excited.
That's it. Let's talk about dance. Now you know a lot of things about dancing that a lot of other people don't know, and I think that's a very intimate view about that. Anyway, my intimate view about dancing. Kind of why I like dancing so much is because it's so complicated. It looks sometimes simple or sometimes like more about strengths, but it really is about technique, a lot about technique, yes.
I find in dancing and fighting that it's very important to relax on one hand, but it's very hard to relax when there's so many rules going on. So I kind of prefer to bend the rules for relaxation because I'm not professional in either. Of course, I try to get better every time, but the experience is more important, and that's why I'm more like it's more important for me to just enjoy myself. But you know, you have to be really strict to get better, right? You said about the awareness; it's so true, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I feel it's a struggle sometimes, just saying.
For me, it's about the process of being more aware about myself, better control over my muscles, faster reaction time. That's for me that's my enjoyment. When I dance, it's not about, making friends. It just like, it's a side thing. It's not really about that. It's more about discovering things that I can do better, that I can do the same basic step that I've done for 16 years better.
How did you start?
Me?
Yeah?
There was a dance club next
Oh
to
right, you said that.
Yeah.
So you started pretty late.
Yes, when 19 years old.
Oh, that's
Where was it?
cool.
What?
Where?
In Tel Aviv.
In front of the Kiryat, there's something like.
Yeah, something like that, like very close there.
Where was it? Was it the one in, I wonder if you went to
No, it's closed for like, the club is now closed for like over 10 years, so probably.
We still may have gone to the same place.
But if I can answer you because I don't anymore, but I used to dance. To me, it's not about the relax and the rules and the tensions. It's like, to me, dancing is like a language. And so, for instance, English, what we're all speaking now, is an incredibly complex thing with 1,000,001 rules. But you are not thinking about the grammar rule when you are forming a sentence, because you've gotten a certain level within that language. Now, when you talk to a 2-year-old child, you don't use the same structures as language as you do when you speak to an adult, because that other person doesn't have that same level as you. So you simplify the language, and I find that dancing is the same. So if I dance with a beginner, when I dance with a beginner, I have to use the really simple structures, I have to give a really clear lead, and I have to use one certain language. When you dance with a more advanced dancer, then you use a more advanced form of the language. That doesn't mean that your mind is thinking of all those different rules. You've invested time in learning those rules, because you invested time in learning the grammar at some point in your life. But once you've learned that grammar, it sits back there, and it's the same with dancing. Once you've learned a particular rule, or once you've learned not the step, but you've learned, the lead and how that, you don't have to think about all those 1,000,001 things at one time. It's sitting in the back, and then you have a conversation with the person. And for me, the beauty of dancing is when you have that unexpected thing, as you have in this sort of situation, where sometimes you might sit next to a person and you just suddenly start to have a conversation, and suddenly you have a really amazing conversation with that person that you didn't expect. And it's the same with dancing. Sometimes you just turn up somewhere and you say you're in a bad mood or something like that. You ask someone to dance who you don't know, and suddenly there's just, it works. The slightest little signal that you give them, they understand, they do it perfectly, and you have a really nice conversation.
I want to experience that. In fighting, I've experienced that.
So to me, it's not about having to have all the rules.
You experienced that because you invested more time in studying it.
Yeah, and also when you get hit in the head, you remember really well. It's true. It's true.
Yeah, pain is a good incentive.
It is. It's the truth.
Yeah.
I'm very happy that that's the way I learn.
I think with dancing you have to make more of an effort to learn what you are not aware of.
I think
because it's very hard for other people to tell you.
I love dancing freestyle. I feel like I have my own language and I feel I can communicate well. But I'd love to dance with partners, right? I would love to know salsa, man. But if I take from what my bad experience from a long time ago, I'd say that I'd love to do it again with a partner that is in it with me, not with strangers like with someone that I kind of know a little bit, just to learn, and feel comfortable with. And of course change partners, learn about different people and all that, but just for the beginning, to get into that vibe where
you learn with friends, and then it's
you just gain a little confidence, enjoy it,
But the thing is, if you only dance with one person, you'll have a local accent.
Oh.
So, like when like New York versus Brooklyn, I don't know, just like
Yeah,
general
I understand what
accent
you're saying. That's why they change partners all the time, yeah?
Yeah.
Also in fighting.
Well, you also see what happens often is you see really good performance dancers, as you say, they're always practicing with the same partner and they do set routines and things like that. And then you see this beautiful dancer doing amazing moves and you try and dance with them socially,
And it's
and
impossible.
it doesn't work because they're not used to following anyone else's leads or that they don't
It
have the
happens quite a lot.
communication.
You have amazing
It's
dancing.
a display.
Like the world champions,
not
and
a-
they can't dance on the dance floor.
Wow.
Yes.
I like.
World champions, like solo world champions?
No, world champions that can't dance on the dance floor.
Because they're doing like a routine kind of thing?
Yeah, they know
Well, they
exactly
always
what-
dance with the same partner. I mean, they could get on the dance floor and dance socially with their own partner, but if they got off with another partner,
It's like a mold.
they're not used to
It's
it.
like a mold.
so
They
you-
can't fit with
Yeah.
other molds.
because you're not. And that's part of the thing that when you dance with a new partner, there's always that. If I go and ask you to dance, I don't know what language you speak. I've just asked you to dance.
I would say yes, first of all. Yeah.
No, but you say the yes, but when I say I don't know what language you speak, like if it's on the salsa, I don't know, are you
Yeah.
Cuban salsa, New York salsa,
Mm.
freestyle
But it's part
salsa?
of the.
Are you from the class on that corner or the class on that other corner? Because both of them dance really differently because they've been taught by really different teachers. And you have to do a few basic steps and then I would maybe spin the girl and see, does she keep her balance or does she fall over? So if she kept her balance really well, the next time I'll try a double spin or so you have that get to know each other.
Yeah.
And when you have sometimes brilliant dancers and you find that just doesn't work.
One of the things that you really notice are all the things that I talked to you about today, like sight, smell, touch,
Pressure.
So, yeah, all these things
Yeah, if the
really
girl grabs
sensitive.
your
So
hand,
that
then
when
you
you
know
go
it's
into a dance, there's an expert. When you do the basic step, you immediately notice it. If you're aware of these things that I talked about today, you'll immediately notice the difference. It's like I can't really explain it. It's like there's this vibe when people do the touching and all these things and following in the frame and the basic step. They do all those things. Like when you just do like 2 steps later, you already know so much about that other person, because if they took the time to study dance properly, they do those things very well. And usually to get it right takes about 15 years on average.
Mm.
I
I was just thinking maybe I'll try again.
Yeah, quick question on that. Like, so I mean, I grew up in Canada, and dance is like sadly not really a part of our lives. You know, and I think that's a huge problem.
Well,
what
neither
do you-
in Australia.
Yeah, Australia as well, right? It's like same thing. So, what do you think is a good way to get started?
to dance.
Yeah, I know, but like, so I'm doing different like dance.
It's like, can you learn to code without coding? I don't think that's possible.
Sure, but like, is there?
My favorite way of learning is through private lessons.
Okay.
I think that's the most effective. But in order to really enjoy private lessons, you also have to do group lessons. So my suggestion is to go to group lessons, meet people, dance with a lot of people, and at the same time take private lessons.
Okay.
Because private lessons are the ones that can really fine-tune your steps. And you can advance really faster if everything you're doing correct.
I like the idea of private lessons with a nice teacher.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So
I
now-
usually do it with 2 teachers.
Just a follow on
That
that.
sounds
Is there a
even
particular style of dance that would be like a good? I don't know. Obviously, it's very subjective, but is there one that you can do that will kind of like teach you more breadth?
I think that every style will give you a lot of breath. So for that it doesn't really matter, but you have to like watch videos, see what you connect to, what type of music dance. For instance, if you don't like Latin music, and it's some for people who haven't heard Latin music all their life, it's like kind of like coffee, you know. It's a
Acquired.
it's an acquired taste, but once you acquire it, it's really hard to go back. So kind of like coffee. But if you don't connect to it and you want to dance to Justin Timberlake,
Sure.
then maybe you'd be better dancing West Coast Swing or Zouk. They dance to just a few. Like Brazilian music more, maybe dance lambada, and so on and so on. So really, if you like tango and so on. So you have to connect to the music, to the movements themselves. You have to want to do those movements. And I think that's their choice, because with any dance you're going to encounter a lot of things. And initially you're going to concentrate on different things, but when you move more advanced, you're going to
Why
work
don't
on all
they
the things
teach that
that
in
are
school, you
equivalent
think?
to the same dance. And also I would go to a dance where you have a nearby good teacher.
Why don't they teach
I was going to
that?
say, to me, I think that's the most important thing.
Is he
You
a
have
good
to
teacher?
find a place where you like the people and the teacher. Because if you don't like it, it's like anything else. You're not going to go
Hey
back.
guys,
You have to.
Joy.
thank you.
Thank you very
Hey,
much.
I didn't just want to walk out.
How do you know if it's a good teacher though?
If you like the way they look when they dance,
Yeah.
that's the first thing. I think you need to be inspired, and then to know if they're a good teacher or not, you only know by trying. I mean,
You can know by trying. You can also look at their credentials. What do their students look like when they dance? Who are their students? Like some teachers have a lot of artists coming to dance. That means they're very high level teachers because artists know better who they want to learn from. So they might not be the best instructors, but maybe they have more knowledge than others. You know, it's like the professor in university is not necessarily the best speaker, but has more knowledge than the PhD student. So it's kind of like that. So you'll see dancers coming in. Who are the students? So
Sure.
those, yeah.
Cool.
And if there's nothing else, thank you very much for attending.
I have
Yes.
2 questions. So does the type of dynamics, interaction, communication between partners change based on the type of dance?
Of course, dramatically.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. When you dance salsa and lambada, it's very upbeat. So it's very intense. So it's more like you feel like more like you're doing sport but with a partner. So you're dancing in this and it's very fast. And sometimes you can go a little bit romantic, but then you go and it becomes a sport. When you dance bachata, you dance very close, very tight. So there's different types of bachata. There's Dominican, which is more like salsa, and then there's bachata sensual. That's, you can by the name you can figure out. So you dance more slowly, and you dance with a partner, and a lot of the dancer would take that into a more erotic kind of feeling together things, and same with lambada as the counterpart zouk. Where you dance slower. When you dance slower, then you can do more things. You can concentrate about the touch, about the feeling. A lot of zouk dancers, they like to just hug. It's gonna sound like crazy, but they like touching so much, like the technique of touching. They like to really concentrate about how they hug each other while they're moving. So they hug and they move a little bit and just like this, and so it really gives it a completely different feel.
Because like with, let's say, tango, it just doesn't seem, sometimes it just doesn't seem like they're having fun, I don't know. So it's like, very basic level.
But it's really, for the basic level,
Yeah.
it's very hard to get all the different feelings because you're concentrating so much on the movements and the technique and so on. But really, after a year or 2 years, you start experiencing really what the dance is all about. It's like, when you go to university and you study what it's like to do biology, but you're studying biology, but then you become a biologist, and it's completely different profession than what you learned in university. It's kind of like that.
Although I would give you a slightly different answer, where I would say that I think you can. Each type of dance has its own sort of feel. Obviously, salsa is more sensual than waltz, yeah. But I would say in terms of communication, I think you can get a full range in all of them. So, for instance, with the waltz, obviously some things are easier. It's easier to be a bit more graceful and things like that. But the waltz also can have its very fast things and its very slow things. You have a much closer connection with the person in the waltz. You're really close together in that. Whereas in the salsa, it's obviously easier to be a bit more sensual and things, but you can also be slow and graceful in the salsa. You can, so, I think every dance, when you get to know a lot of moves in the dance and you feel comfortable about it, it becomes a language. Yeah. And you can experience, a full range of things. So the tango, for instance, it looks serious, but and it's not a dance that I personally enjoy very much. I prefer other styles, but I have a lot of good friends who love the tango, and they really enjoy and have a lot of fun with that, because you get all the complexities of the leg kicks and the little games that you can play with that. You kick me, I kick you, and so it can be very fun, even though they're not smiling, but that doesn't mean they're not having fun.
No, because to me, from the outside, as like a person, like out of the ignorance, right?
Yeah, it looks very serious.
It's serious,
Yeah.
like very sharp moves and
You can sometimes have a lot of fun when you take your partner and you kind of realize that you've decided together without speaking to express a certain emotion in your dance. You say, I want when people look at us, and I'm not gonna say anything, but it's gonna like, you're gonna understand what I want, and you're either gonna agree or not, and we're gonna, by the feeling and the tensions and things like that, I can actually feel whether you agree with me and what we wanna do. And we could agree to make the dance more erotic, we can agree to make it more like serious and tense, you know? We can do it like, you know, make it look more serious. We dance together, very strong, make very sharp moves together, and we can give it that sharpness, that feeling. Or we can do the same dance tango, but we can decide to do it more smooth and look like this, and we smile at each other and we concentrate and do whatever it is that we want, move it like. So you can do it in any dance, but there's a basic from where the dance comes from, and it's always gonna be like a Gaussian around that basic feeling. So if the dance is more erotic, you can go erotic plus more fun. You can go erotic plus something, but it's gonna be somewhere near that basic feeling that like you can't do hip hop and make it look completely classical.
yeah, well, it's also the music that transmits
Of course,
a certain
of course.
emotion.
Of course, but you have like in every different style of music, you have a lot of different types. But you won't get that Beethoven feeling when you're doing hip hop per se. So
Okay. My last question is
They are
completely
cooking,
off topic.
Cooking.
Completely off topic. So just wondering, since we're
Yeah.
a professional in the room, can you explain like the rhythm of like flamenco and Catalan rumba?
no.
Screwing with my head, you know?
Beyond
Like I see them
my,
like clapping, and I can never, you know,
I can
I never get it.
I can
It's killing me.
raise a friend
In the
on the phone
flamenco,
that will answer your
flamenco
question,
is a
but
16
I can't answer because I haven't studied it. So
It's a 16.
I haven't even
so
gotten the
there's a-
concept of the hands yet. So it's really hard
Yeah.
doing that.
But you mean the contratempo that
Yeah,
you do with
I know that
the-
there's like there's like the pastanaga rhythm, which is like carrot in Catalan, and patata, potato. So it's like pastanaga, and then patata is patata. So there's something to do with that, but
Well, in general, I mean, all the, and I mean, I haven't studied the flamenco rhythm, so I can't tell you specifically, but I know just from other dances that, I mean, most of the dances are on a 4/4 rhythm. So salsa, lambada, cha-cha, all of them are 4/4 rhythm. Flamenco is a little bit different in that it puts 16. There's a lot of beats into there, but still, the differences that you make between a cha-cha or a salsa or that is really on the how you play with the silent or accented beats. So for instance, salsa is a 4/4 beat, but it's 1, 2, 3 and do nothing on the 4, 5, 6, 7 and do nothing on the 8. So you have that pause. Cha-cha-cha is you do 1, 2, 3 and 4. So you put an extra half one in, yeah? So it's all around the playing of where you make a silent beat or an accent beat. So the same when you do the, the contratiempos, as you said, the pastanaga or the patata,
yeah,
then they're leaving with the patata, they're leaving every second
Yeah.
beat out.
yeah.
So they're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah? And with the pastanaga,
It's like, yeah,
right? So
Yeah.
they're doing 1, 2, 3, 4 silent, 5,
Yeah.
something like that, yeah? So it's just playing with which ones you leave silent and which ones you don't. It's the same with all the other dances. Often you can dance several different dances to one type of music. It just depends how you interpret the
yeah.
4/4 beat.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, you need like 15 years. Like the people, like just
Takes a
clapping,
really long
they just learning like their entire life.
When you see a ballet dancer
Yeah.
dancing on the Royal Ballet, he's been dancing since he was 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
So 15 years.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Man, you,
Oh, good.
Hola, Uriel.
I really enjoyed it, man. I was in Tel Aviv 4 weeks ago and I did a Gaga class. It was amazing.
There is Gaga here.
Really?
Is there?
You didn't hear about?
No, I'm just visiting.
Someone told me, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't try it. There is in near the Plaza Hispanic.
Have you guys done it before?
No, I've never done it. I only
Oh, so
recently
much
started to do some stuff of contemporary dance,
Yeah.
creativity, and movement and awareness.
Yeah.
It's really new for me, and I want to try Gaga.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Well, where did you live here?
I live here.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, in Tel Aviv, I mean, they do classes at this one school or whatever, and the teacher was great. Like it was a lot of fun.
Those are big classes, no?
Very big. Yeah, there were a lot of us there. Yeah.
I'm gonna go help people cook.
Yeah.